Definitions. What is the definition of a prism? A prism is a polyhedron with two congruent bases that lie in parallel planes. What is the definition of lateral faces of a prism? Lateral faces are parallelograms formed by connecting the corresponding vertices of the bases. What is the definition of surface area? Surface area is the sum of the areas of the 3D object's faces. What is the definition of lateral area? Lateral area is the sum of the areas of the 3D object's lateral faces. What is the definition of a right prism? A right prism is when each lateral edge is perpendicular to both bases. What is the definition of an oblique prism? An oblique prism is a prism with lateral edges that are not perpendicular to the bases. What is the definition of a cylinder? A cylinder is a solid with congruent circular bases that lie in parallel planes. What is the definition of a right cylinder? A right cylinder is when the segment joining the centers of the bases is perpendicular to the bases. What is the definition of volume? Volume is the number of cubic units contained in a 3D object's interior. So the first thing you're going to do is write out the formula, which is surface area equals the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. So the perimeter of the base is 8 plus 8 plus 3 plus 3, which equals 22. And you're going to times it by 2 because that's the height, and you get 44. Next, you're going to find the area of the base, which is 8 times 3, and that equals 24. And you're going to times it by 2 because there are two bases, and that gives you 48. Lastly, you're going to add them together, which is 44 plus 48, and you get 92. So the surface area of this prism is 92 feet squared. First, you're going to write the formula, which is surface area equals 2 pi r h plus 2 pi r squared. So 2 pi, the radius is 8, the height is 8, plus 2 pi, the radius is 8, and squared. So 2 pi, 8 times 8 is 64, plus 2 pi and 8 squared is 64. 2 times 64 is 128 pi, plus 128 pi. You can add them together and you get 256 pi, which is the exact answer. And that's about 804.25 inches squared. So first you're going to write the formula, which is P times H plus 2 times the area of the base. The perimeter is 8 plus 8 plus 3, and that gives you 19, times the height, which is 9.1, because it's in between the two bases. That gives you 172.9. Next, you're going to find the area of the base, which is 2 times 8 times 3 over 2. The 2's cancel each other out, so you get 24. Then you're going to add 172.9 plus 24, and you get 196.9 meters squared. So the first thing you're going to do, like always, is write out the formula, which is S equals PH plus 2B. You have to work this one backwards, so it's going to be 606 equals 14, because 7 plus 7 is 14, and then 2x, because x plus x equals 2x, and then you have to times by 15, because that's the height, and then plus 2 times 7x, because that's the area, and then 606 equals, you have to distribute the 15, so that's 210 plus 30x, and then plus 14x. You add like terms, so that's 606 equals 210 plus 44x. You subtract 210, and you get 396 equals 44x. You divide that by 44, and you get x equals 9 yards. The formula for volume of a prism is V equals area of the base times height. So 4 by 2 equals 8, and then you're going to times that by 1.5, because that's the height, and you get 12 meters cubed. The formula for volume of a cylinder is V equals pi r squared times height. So pi times the radius, which is 5, notice that it's not 10, squared times the height, which is 16. 5 squared is 25 times 16. 25 times 16 equals 400 pi, which was your exact answer. And that's about 1,256.64 inches cubed. The formula for volume of a prism is V equals the area of the base times the height. For this problem, you have to work backwards. So it's going to be 1,000 equals x cubed, because x times x times x gives you x cubed. You're going to cube root both sides to get rid of the cube, and you get x equals 10 inches. As you know, the first thing you always do is write the formula, which is volume equals the area of the base times the height. But this one is a little bit different. You have to do a roadmap, which is going to be the volume of the big prism minus the volume of the small prism gives you the volume of the big prism without the small prism inside. So first you have to find the volume of the big prism, which is going to be 12.4 times 7.8, and that gives you 96.72. Then you multiply that by 9, which is the height, and you get 870.48. Next, you have to find the volume of the small prism, which is 1.8 times 3, and that gives you 5.4. And you multiply that by 9, which is also the height, and you get 48.6. You subtract 48.6 from 870.48, and you get the volume of the prism, which is 821.88 feet cubed.